Hey everyone, and welcome to the back bedroom. I am your host Jeffrey, and this is the college football special, also known as episode 38. Episode 38, we're doing the college football preview special. I've been wanting to do it. I said, hey, you know what? It's my podcast. Let's do a college football special. So I'm a big college football fan. I love it. And it's something I've grown up on, so it's kind of a big part of my life. So it's going to be fun to talk about. I realized doing this episode, I was going to release this episode like 3 days ago. But every time I would get ready to release it, more stuff would come out. And I was like, ooh. And I realized, wow, like I put a lot of stuff together and I did a lot of work for this episode. More than I usually do. Which I don't know what that says, right? Like as I was doing work last night, I was like, I'm doing so much work for this college football special. Maybe I should just do a college football podcast. Because there's definitely stuff to talk about every day. Which I wouldn't do it daily. Or would I? Okay, anyways. So we're going to get into it because I got a lot. And I don't want this to be like 4 hours long. College football special. First of all, how's everybody doing? Good. Okay, so I said a few weeks ago, or last week, if you don't like college football, I'm sorry. If you don't, you could probably skip this episode. If you don't like it and you dig the back bedroom, stick around. Maybe it won't be that bad for you because, of course, it's still me doing it, so we'll have a good time, right? So again, let's just start from the beginning. Again, like I said, I'm a big college football fan. I'm 33, so I've grown up in the South my entire life. College football is king here, right? And so, from a very early age, I've been around it. It's always been on, obviously when it's on in season. And it's just been a part, like I said, been a part of my life. I'm an Alabama fan, but I'm not a new age Alabama fan. I didn't jump on the bandwagon because we started winning and doing real well. I can remember, first of all, I remember losing to Louisiana Monroe, which was Saban's first year. And, I remember when Southern Miss was like a legit game for us. Like, I remember Southern Miss every year on the schedule, like, there was a chance we could lose that game. And, one year I think we did lose to Louisiana Tech for, like, homecoming. Or no, was it UCF? I can't remember now. I remember one year we barely beat, like, Middle Tennessee. I remember Northern Illinois came into Tuscaloosa and beat our brains in. Stuff like that just doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, so I've been a Alabama fan for a long time. I remember what got me into it real heavy. Like I said, my dad was into it, so we would go over there every other weekend or whatever. He would always have it on Saturday mornings. He'd wake up, turn it on, go outside and be doing yard work and have games on the radio. So I was always hearing it. I was always seeing it. And so I remember one Saturday morning waking up, and I think Bama was playing at UCLA. I wish I should have looked up some of these dates, but I didn't think about it. Got to move my mic real quick so it may a little buzz. So again, not a new age fan. I remember. Like I said, I remember every game was like it was like, okay, we're going to lose, and then you were more excited when we won, right? And it's weird because, like, we're winning championships and we're winning a lot, and that's fun to watch, but honestly, like, the old way was more fun to me. And I know I'll probably catch a lot of heat for that if some college football fans do find this podcast and listen to it. I know that sounds crazy, but because there's a big argument now about, like, the legitness, right, of the sport, like how college football is turning into something else because of the NIL and all this money and all this, that, and the third. And NIL means name, image, and likeness. Like, the players can now make money off their name, image, and likeness, which I'm totally for. I'm not saying that's bad because, that's why we don't have the college football games anymore, because they wouldn't pay the kids. So hopefully, which I know the college football game is supposed to be coming back, which I'm excited for. So, but it's just the game's changed so much, right? Money talks, just like in every aspect of life. And money has gotten so big that the sport is it's a lot different. It is. I mean, like I said, I remember when I was younger, it's just a totally different sport. But yeah, I enjoyed back then. It was to me, it was a lot more simple, and it was a lot more fun, and I don't know, you kind of enjoyed those big wins and stuff a little bit more versus now. But again, like I said, I am an Alabama fan. I'm going to go ahead and warn you now, if you come across and you're a big Bama fan or whatever, I don't hate Auburn. I actually consider LSU more of a rival than Auburn. I actually don't mind Auburn. So don't come in here, with whatever, because I'm not bashing Auburn like you would think that I should. I'm not going to, because I don't, and I don't worry about them. So, all right, so let's dive into it. Oh, well, before we dive into that, there's a couple other notes I had on here. Football, like I said, it's been a big part of my life. I actually wanted to be a football coach for a really long time. Throughout high school, I tried to get in to where I could help coach, but the coach at our high school was a douche. I'll just be honest with you. If anybody comes across this and knows what I'm talking about, I don't care. He was just real mean. Not mean, he was just weird, right? But anyways, it was something I always wanted to do, and it, I knew that okay, I could go get my teacher license and do this, blah blah blah, so I could get into the high school ranks. But I don't know. I guess I never really did it that much, but it was something that I wanted to do for a really long time, and it's something I still kind of think about. Obviously, I'm not going to go do it now, but it's something that pops up. And just to tie video games into it, there was a video game back in 06 or something. It was the NFL head coach game. Man, I love that. It was so fun. I may have been only one of 4 people who bought that game, because it let you wear your headset and you could call plays with your headset like a coach. So it was real fun. But I brought that up just to tie in video games. Okay, so let's dive into this college football episode. So the first thing I have up is a coach's poll. It released on August 8th, so two days ago. So again, I was going to release the episode, and then the coach's poll came out. So I figured, I was like, wait, I'll go over that, and then I'll kind of talk about that stuff. And we'll go down, because I got a whole list of things. So the AP poll will release on 8/15. So we're 5 days away from the preseason AP poll. But it probably won't differ much from the coach's poll. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up and talk about it. So yeah, no surprise here. Your top 25. No surprise here. Bama at the top. Losing the championship game, but we returned so much, right? We bring the Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young back. Will Anderson, probably best defensive player in the country. I don't know why he wasn't in the Heisman race last year, and you had Aiden Hutchinson over him. Will Anderson's stats were way better, but maybe you don't want to have 2 Bama players in, but whatever. That's another conversation for another day. So we return a lot. We got some really cool, good transfers in. So Bama at the top. Ohio State too. I honestly wouldn't have been mad if that was flip-flopped, because I know people were really high on Ohio State, right? They have C.J. Stroud back, their receiver core, Marvin Harrison Jr., what's the other guy's name? Oh, gosh. I got it written down here somewhere. It's so much. I've got so much information. Their receiving core is ridiculous. A lot of people think it will come down to Bama, Ohio State. Wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. But that's just the way they got it set right now. And, by the way, they've got 54. So Bama had 54 first-place votes. Ohio State had 5. Georgia had 6, and they come in at number 3. So, yeah, they've got to reload on defense. They return his nickname. What was his nickname? The Mailman. I can't even think of the quarterback's name. I got into it with Georgia fans last year after the championship game, because everyone started calling him Tom Brady, comparing him to Tom Brady. I thought that was the goofiest, dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life. You hit wide open receivers. Nobody. Okay, calm down. Okay, so I'm going to go through this quickly, because if not, I'll spend 2 hours on this. Clemson in at number 4. Notre Dame rounding out the top 5. No issues there. Hold on. I wrote this down because I wanted to nail it at least one time on mic. Let me pull my notes on my phone back up. DJ Uiagalelei. Oh, wait. Uiagalelei. The quarterback for Clemson. That's still not right, but I tried. Notre Dame, number 5. Michigan, number 6. Texas A&M, number 7. Jesus, they bought that recruiting class, and it has paid off dividends for them. Again, not mad at them for buying it. That's what NIL's there for. Go do it, young man. So A&M 7, Utah at 8. Love Utah this year. Really, really good quarterback. That team, man, outside shot to get into the playoffs for sure. Oklahoma, number 9. I don't know how I feel about that. I know the coaches are going to put them there because of the OU brand, but man, I actually did my own top 25 and I have them a little lower. Baylor, number 10. Oklahoma State, 11. Oregon, 12. I love Oregon. I love Dan Lanning. I love just him as a person, as a coach, personality. I think he's going to be pretty good there. I'm really excited to see what they do. 13, NC State. Watch out for them. I know everybody and their mother has got them as like their surprise team, I guess, this year. You know, Devin Leary at quarterback. The whole defense is back almost with easily the best linebacker core and secondary in the country. Scary team for sure. Michigan State 14, USC 15. That's all hype. Pittsburgh at 16. And they are everyone's darling this year, which means they're going to lose like 4 games. Miami at 17, 18 at Texas. So is Texas back? Who knows? Wake Forest at 19. I absolutely hate this. The news came out about Sam Hartman, the quarterback, so it looks like he's going to miss some time, which is really going to hurt them. Because I think if he were to play and stay healthy all year, I think they had a really good shot to win the ACC. But that news broke yesterday about him, and that's just absolutely terrible. 20 at Wisconsin. They are the most consistent team probably in the country, seriously. 21 Kentucky. Not upset there. Will Nevis, Heisman, possible Heisman contender, definite top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft. Cincinnati at 22. I think that's a testament to what Fickle's built there. 23 at Arkansas, Arkansas at 23. Absolutely love that pick. Sam Pittman, one of my favorite coaches out. Scary team. They've got a really scary team. 24 Ole Miss or Mississippi. Again, the Lane Train. What are you going to do? Another scary team. And Houston at number 25. A few others receiving votes right here at the cusp that I thought were surprising they weren't in it. Tennessee, just because everybody's so hype on them. BYU, I think it's an absolute travesty that they weren't in a top 25. I think they are one of my surprise teams. Not even surprise teams. I think they're a really, really good team. I'll get into more of that later. And there's a few more here. LSU, Auburn, UCF, North Carolina, all kind of just missing the coaches poll. So, all right. So moving on from that. So that was a coaches poll again. That came out 2 days ago. So I did my own top 25, and we can get into that now, and then we'll just kind of work our way through everything else I have. So I just read off the coaches poll, which you'll be able to Google and look that up. But here for the back bedroom, I did my own top 25. So starting with number 1, I have Alabama. 2, Ohio State. 3, Georgia. 4, I have DJ. Damn it, I want to get his name right. DJ Uiagalelei. I have DJ Uiagalelei and the Clemson Tigers, number 4. I feel good about that one. I have Utah at number 5. Again, I think they got a really good shot to win the Pac-12 and possibly crack into the college football playoff this year. 6 is Michigan. You know, they lost some people last year, Aiden Hudson, blah, 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 but they also return a lot. And it'll come down to the big game, right? It'll come down between them and Ohio State. So, number 7, Notre Dame. The new coach there. Going to see how all that transitions. Again, I've got a lot of information on my mind. I might skip over some stuff, but Freeman is the coach's name. It'll come to me as I go. I'm just processing and doing a lot. I have Oregon up at number 8. Again, I don't know. Something about Dan Lanning and that team and Bo Nix transferring in. that first game, that first weekend, they open up in Atlanta versus Georgia. I would take Oregon plus the points. And you know what? Let me bring that up. That's a good point, too. I'm going to bring up the betting lines real quick. Let's see. All right, so I stopped it while I looked all that up. So I have it pulled up now through the Action Network. They kind of have everyone's on here because I was trying to find just like a good culmination of like all the big sports books out from Vegas and whatnot with FanDuel and DraftKings included as well. So I've got Action Network, actionnetwork.com pulled up. So that's how I'm getting some of these numbers. So if they are a little off, excuse me for that. So I just wanted to have that up as once we start talking about games. Okay, so where was I at? Oh, I was talking about how Oregon, I would probably take them plus the points in that opening weekend. Let's just see where they're at. I don't even know. Man, because you got that week 0, Vanderbilt, Hawaii, and you got Vandy -7 right now. Oh, like I'd probably take that. West Virginia at Pitt, and West Virginia's +6.5. Yeesh. Alright, so it took me way too long to find the game, so I'm not going to do this. Maybe I'll talk about betting lines and the numbers at a later episode when we're closer. I will say this one because I did finally find it. Oregon is currently sitting +17.5. Yeah, I think I would take that. Opening weekend, and you don't know what Georgia's defense is going to look like. Give me Oregon and +17.5. I'll take that any day of the week. All right, number 9, Texas A&M, and 10, I have Oklahoma. Like I said, I did bump them down a little bit. 11, I have NC State. 12, Baylor. 13, Pitt. 14, Miami. 15, OK State. 16, UCF. Scary team. Real good chance to go undefeated. 17, Wisconsin. 18, Iowa. 19, Texas. 20, USC. 21, UAB. 22, Michigan State. 23, Cincinnati. 24, Wake Forest. And 25, BYU. Also had some close, but just couldn't get them in there. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Arkansas, Houston, Air Force, and Fresno State. I'm going to talk more about them later. But yeah. So that's who I had in my top 25. The Back Bedroom's top 25. So let's get into some of this other stuff. I guess we can do Heisman projections just real quick because I'm going to run through all the conferences and talk about. So your Heisman frontrunners, I guess, like I mentioned kind of at the top of the episode, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State makes sense, right? The dude threw for like 5,000 yards last year or something. Bryce Young, again, can he go back-to-back? We haven't had the back-to-back champion ever or winner in a while. Caleb Williams out at USC, we saw what he did last year at Oklahoma. He went with Lincoln Riley out to Southern California, so let's see what happens there. Will Anderson, defensive player, again, his stats were better than Hutchinson last year, and Hutchinson was in the final voting. So will Anderson make it? Bijan Robinson from Texas. I put Devin Leary in there as well from NC State, again, because they're scary. If they've got one loss and they squeak into the playoffs, he'll have something to do with it. I put Will Rogers from Mississippi State in there just because I think he can put the numbers up. Some lower odd people, not odd, but like your long shots. Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina, Dylan Gabriel who transferred into Oklahoma, and Hendon Hooker at Tennessee. So if one of those three have a magical year, which, it's Oklahoma, right? Like, it wouldn't take much for it to be a magical year for them. But if Hendon Hooker at Tennessee or Grayson McCall from Coastal have a magical year, maybe one of them could get some votes and squeeze on in there. All right, so that takes care of Heisman projections. Let's see, what else do we have? We can talk about some of the new coaches and transfers before we get into actual teams, because this is just something I wanted to touch on. Probably your big one is Lincoln Riley, went from Oklahoma out to USC. Brian Kelly from Notre Dame is now at LSU. Mario Cristobal came down to Miami from Oregon. Billy Napier at Florida, everybody's waiting on him to do great things. It's going to take him a little while, I think, to get rolling there. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Let's see. Joe Moorhead at Akron, I think, is really interesting. Brent Venables at Oklahoma. He's already in a little trouble or hot water. See. Kalen DeBoer at Washington could be interesting. Jeff Tedford at Fresno State. Watch out for that. Sonny Dykes at TCU. Let's see, who else do we have? Tony Elliott at Virginia. Virginia's got a good team. Good team. Again, I've talked about him a bunch already. Dan Lanning at Oregon. Rhett Lashley at SMU. What else do we have that was interesting? Timmy Chang at Hawaii. I love that. I mean, I remember when Timmy Chang played at Hawaii, so I think that's super cool. And how the hell did Georgia Southern get Clay Helton to come down there and be their head coach? Like, that is just so crazy to me. Some top impact transfers this year. Again, I just mentioned Caleb Williams at USC now from Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma to now South Carolina. Dylan Gabriel is now at Oklahoma. JT Daniels, man, if he could stay healthy, he would be a force at West Virginia, but let's see. Adrian Martinez, who's now at Kansas State, has everybody excited there. Again, I've mentioned Bo Nix now at Oregon. Quinn Ewers at Texas. He's supposedly like the greatest thing ever, so we'll see. And these last ones that really have people, especially me, excited. Casey Thompson now at Nebraska. A lot of people, Nebraska had 7 games last year that came down to a touchdown or less, and a lot of those lost. So, I mean, if Nebraska can get the ball to bounce the right way for them this year, watch out. Jackson Dart from USC to now Ole Miss, paired up with the Lane Train. That's terrifying. And Keaton Slovis from USC to Pittsburgh. So some of these moves could be really, really big in the grand scheme of things. So let's get into teams and conferences. All right, so here's what I did. Got to open up the Dr. Pepper, right? Let me take a sip. Dr. Pepper, sponsor the back bedroom, please. Please. Oh, you know what? I'll use this as a halfway point. So you know what we do at the halfway point. If you enjoy the back bedroom and you enjoy me, Jeffrey, you can do something totally free that helps us out a bunch. And all that is share the show on your social medias. Tell a friend about the back bedroom. If you know someone who loves college football, tell them about this episode. If you know people who love other things that we talk about, tell them about it. Share it on your Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, wherever, YouTube. Tell people about us. Tell them to come rate and review the episodes. It means a whole bunch. I just want to grow this thing so much. I just want to grow it. I dream of having this thing grow. So tell your people. You got a college football episode here. Next week, I'm working on. Let me tell you. Let me go ahead and tease what we're getting next week, which you already know because I already talked about it. Top 10 video game list. I'm getting lists sent in to me from people. We are going to have a time. It is going to be a fun episode. I've still got some more lists that I want to try to get out of some people. But, man, it's going to be a fun time. So make sure you're here for that. Top 10 video games next week on the back bedroom. I don't even want to say next week because I'm so excited for it. I'm going to try to record it as soon as I can. But I've got to get some more lists. And I got to finish mine. How crazy is that? Okay, back to it. So here's what I did. To do all this, I used the College Football Bible, Phil Steele magazine. You all know it. If you're a college football fan and it's something you're into and you follow, you got to get Phil Steele's book, right? Phil Steele's book is like the book. This thing is, the amount of work that he does is mind-blowing. Like, the stats, like this guy, statistically, he's the best. Statistically, he's the best. And that's not even, like, just saying it. Like, he has the statistics to prove it. Like, he's the number one most accurate book over 27 years. Over the last 27 years, he's the most accurate, which is crazy. He runs a lot of numbers to pinpoint all this stuff. So he knows what he's doing. So that's what I used. So that's what I'll be doing. You'll probably hear me flipping pages. So let's dive into it. Here we go, right here, starting with the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, pretty easy, I guess, to go through, right? Bama won in the West. Georgia won in the East. I don't think there's really any competition there. The interesting part with the West is where everyone else is going to finish, because A&M, Arkansas, and Ole Miss and Mississippi State are going to be battling for 2. I won't count out LSU completely. He has LSU finishing last in the West, which I find crazy, and Auburn was actually voted to finish last at the SEC Media Days, which I also find crazy. The other side is the people putting Tennessee and South Carolina finishing 2. That's going to be the interesting part. So, yeah, have Bama, Georgia win in the SEC, their respective divisions, and then battling in Atlanta in the SEC championship for like the 3rd or 4th year in a row now. They're on a collision course for each other. It's hard to, they're built out of the same cloth, right? Like Kirby Smart is just built Alabama light over in Athens. So to the Big Ten, Ohio State, again, this team is just absolutely loaded. Jackson Smith, Nijba is the other receiver, is the receiver I was thinking about earlier. Again, they're just absolutely loaded. So you got them winning the East. In the West, Phil still has Wisconsin. I would agree with that. Depending on what Nebraska can do, maybe they can push. But that other side doesn't really matter, right? Because you're going to run into Ohio State, and nothing really matters once you do that. Now, the ACC, this is where it's interesting, because in the Atlantic Division, he's got Clemson winning it, and NC State and Wake Forest finishing 2 and 3. If Hartman doesn't get hurt for Wake Forest, I really think they could have pushed. And it's going to come down to one game, and I've got that written down. It's October the 1st. NC State goes to Clemson, right? So that's going to determine who wins that game. If NC State can go into Clemson and win, then they will win the ACC. They'll at least win the Atlantic, and I think they'll beat whoever comes out of the Coastal. He has Miami winning it. Pitt is a lot of people's surprise team this year. So, where the hell is Miami? Oh, I just said he had Miami winning, and I can't find Miami. A lot of people like Miami and Pitt this year, both as like kind of surprise teams. I don't think it really matters, because I think Devin Leary and NC State, I think they win the ACC. To me, I think NC State wins the ACC. So it'll be interesting. The Big 12, them losing Oklahoma and Texas after this year, and then I think who's joining, like BYU and some other teams. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this conference realignment stuff, again, I talked earlier, money talks, and it is taking over college football. So he's got Oklahoma winning it. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened, right, because it is Oklahoma, but I also wouldn't count out Baylor and Oklahoma State. Texas, I think, could push some people this year, but, I think every year people say Texas is back, and they haven't been back. Like, it's been quite a while since Texas was back. So the Pac-12, from the South, he's got Utah. Couldn't agree more. I think Utah wins it. I think they probably handle it pretty easily. I know that they play USC October the 15th. USC goes to Utah. I think that's a no-brainer. Utah wins that one. In the North, Oregon, I think, can run away with it, because I think that division just absolutely sucks. He has Washington finishing second. I can see Oregon State actually finishing second. I really like them this year to take another step and surprise some people. So I would actually have Oregon and Oregon State 1-2 in the North. I think that'd be pretty cool. In the Independent, it doesn't matter, because there's no division or nothing there. It will be fun to watch Liberty this year, as well as Connecticut, since they now have what's that coach's name? I can't remember his name, but he was an NFL coach, Jim Mora. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, the big name in the independent is Notre Dame. But there's no division, so it doesn't matter. So, let's go to the next division here, or the next conference. The Mountain West. Love this conference. This conference has a lot of teams in it that I really, really like this year. In the Mountain, he has Boise State winning it, with Air Force finishing second. I would actually flip-flop that. I think Air Force wins the Mountain division. Then the West, he has Fresno State winning, and I absolutely love that pick. And I think it will be Air Force and Fresno State battling it out. I'll talk more about why I think that, but man, I really, really like Air Force this year. Oh, I missed a conference. I actually skipped over the AAC there. Let me go back. There we go. So for the AAC, so he has Cincinnati winning. I don't see how you can really argue that. I mean, UCF and Houston, you could definitely throw up there. But I think with what UCF has built, what Cincinnati has built, I know they lost a lot to the NFL draft this past year, but I think they've been building it the right way. And this will be a good test, right, to show that you're a team that can handle the turnover every year, because it was a big deal they got into the playoffs last year. Alabama smashed them. But this will be a good year to really show, hey, we can play year in and year out. So let's see what they can do. The Sun Belt Conference, he's got Appalachian State winning the East and Louisiana winning the West. Can't really argue with that. I do like Coastal Carolina with McCall, so maybe they can push Appy State there. And James Madison, this will be James Madison's first year in the Big Boy League, so that'll be fun. And then CUSA, he's got UAB winning. Yeah, I don't see how you even talk about or try to dispute that. I hate that Bill Clark stepped down due to health reasons as head coach, but I think UAB continues their run of dominance there in Conference USA. So, just a quick run through of all the conferences and whatnot. I said I was going to try to pick the 4 teams in the playoff. Oh, man. The more I think about it, I can't decide. I think I would definitely go Bama. I'm going to go Alabama, and this is in no order. Alabama, Ohio State, Utah, NC State. There you go. I think Bama and Ohio State would be 1 and 2. So I would go Bama, NC State, Ohio State versus Utah. And I think the championship will be Alabama and Ohio State. No. Yeah. It'll be Alabama and Ohio State in the championship. But in the 14 playoff, it will be Alabama versus NC State and Ohio State versus Utah. And then those 2 winners, will play. And as a Bama fan, as an Alabama homer, I guess I'm a homer, technically. I will go Alabama winning the championship just because I hate Ohio State. God, I hate Ohio State. So, yeah, I will hope that we can beat them. I'm just going to write down that I picked those 4 so that I can tweet it out so people don't, so that way I can at least stand behind what I have. So I did write down the top 11 games that I think are the top 11 games this year. I can run through those real quick just so that everybody has an idea. And again, these are all just my opinions, right? Your top 25 will be different, your final 4 will be different, so on and so forth. So the top 11 games, September 3rd, you've got Notre Dame at Ohio State and Oregon versus Georgia. The Notre Dame-Ohio State will be interesting to see what Notre Dame and their new coach can do at Ohio State, who is picked by everyone, to run the gauntlet. So, man, if Ohio State could stumble early, who knows? And Oregon at Georgia, it's technically in the Atlanta Superdome or whatever it's called, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but that's a home game for Georgia. But, man, Oregon catching 17.5. I mean, I know that's why Vegas is Vegas, right? They keep the lights on because they make money. But, man, I find it hard to believe that Georgia just blows out Oregon. So September the 4th, you've got Florida State and LSU playing in New Orleans. That could be a fun one. Big test for LSU right out of the gate with new coach Brian Kelly, and even bigger test for Florida State to try to show that they're on the right track. September 10th, Alabama at Texas. I cannot wait for that. I hate Texas, probably more than Ohio State. I hope we go out there and just smash them out 49-0. Texas fans are already just so annoying. So, man, I can't wait until we blast them out of the water. September 17th, Miami at Texas A&M. What a great non-conference game. Miami picked by a lot of people to do well in the ACC this year. Texas A&M, everybody's hot darling because of their recruiting and the controversy that Jimbo Fisher, the head coach, has stirred up with Nick Saban. So everybody's eyes will be on Texas A&M that day, and man, they better hope they win it. October the 8th, the Red River rivalry, Red River shootout, Oklahoma, Texas. And same day, it's Texas A&M at Alabama. Again, everybody's going to want to see that Texas A&M and Bama game due to the remarks that were made this past year. For some reason, I did this one out of order, but October 1st, which will be the weekend before the one I just talked about, again, ACC championship game, NC State at Clemson. If NC State can go in there and beat Clemson, they win the ACC, they'll make the college football playoff. NC State has the defense to do it. They just got to do it. They got to run the ball better this year. They did not run the ball very well at all last year. They've got to be able to run the football. October 15th, USC at Utah. Utah wins that. They clinch the Pac-12, to me, in my opinion. And then November the 5th, Clemson at Notre Dame. Big game for both of those teams, especially if Notre Dame knocks off Ohio State early. Maybe they can coast and then knock out Clemson. Notre Dame would be right there on the doorstep of the playoff knocking. And also Tennessee at Georgia. Everybody's hot on Tennessee this year. So if Tennessee can get rolling and have confidence going into November against the Georgia team, that maybe Georgia struggles a little bit earlier in the year, gives Tennessee some more hope. So those are what I have as like the top 11 games this year. I do have something written down that I want to go over, and then I'll talk about my kind of teams I like. So yesterday, the Big Ten struck a deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC for television rights. So ESPN completely out. No ESPN. My wonderment is I wonder how that will affect College Game Day. So if ESPN is completely out of the deal, will College Game Day go to Big Ten environments? I wonder. And then considering 50% of the Game Day cast is played at the Big Ten, right? Herb Street and Desmond Howard are both Big Ten graduates. So it's very interesting. So since they got left out of the TV deal, will College Game Day go to any Big Ten stadiums this year? Be interesting to see, how that plays out. I just wrote that down because I just wanted to throw it out there. All right, I had to take a drink of Dr. Pepper. Okay, so here are some teams that I really like this year. BYU. Let's start with Mississippi State. They had the number 3 passing offense last year. They have 17 returners coming back. Will Rogers leading them at quarterback. Mike Leach, head coach, love him. I hate that they're in the West. I hate that they're in the SEC West. Not for any other reason other than I just love Mike Leach. And I love to see him do well. I loved it when he did well at Texas Tech and Washington State. And I really like Will Rogers, the quarterback. So I think they could surprise some people. But man, the SEC West is so stacked. Bama, Texas A&M, Arkansas, who I really love Arkansas. Ole Miss, who, God, I mean, Lane Kiffin, the Jackson Dart, the transfer, like they're gonna put points up. And then of course Mississippi State. And that's not even counting Auburn and LSU. Like the SEC West may be the deepest league, or maybe the deepest division in all of college football. Let's see, who else do I have? I wrote down Wake Forest, but again, with Sam Hartman news coming out yesterday, it's just hard to keep them on my list, so I'm going to scratch them. But they still have a good team. I just don't know what... Sam Hartman just brings so much, right? A fourth-year starter at quarterback. Fresno State, I absolutely love. Jake Hayner's back, 7 wide receivers, 7 of the top 8, and I think they got a transfer in from Cal. They're going to put points up. They've got a chance to go. They're one of those teams that can go 11-1. You know, they're going to be a fun one to watch. Keep your eye on Fresno State. Mississippi State, I love. Okay, these last two, I wish I was in Vegas because I would definitely go put money on both of these two teams to do something. I don't know what, but I would definitely put money on them. I'm going to talk about BYU first. BYU returns all 11 on defense, and this is from a defense that ranked pretty high up last year. They're number 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 13 tacklers on the team last year are all back. This is a legitimate defense. This is a legitimate football team. They did a good job of replacing Zach Wilson and everything that they lost from the magical season 2 years ago. BYU, keep your eye on them. They've got one hell of a schedule, right, because they're independent. Let me see if I can find it just real quick. Oh, here it is, yep. BYU. Okay, so they open at South Florida, and then, oh my God. So they open at South Florida, winnable game, right? Baylor then goes to Provo, which, hard place to play. So they got Baylor, and then they go to Oregon. And something about BYU, man, they are not scared to schedule anyone. Like, they will schedule anyone and go play them. So, USF, Baylor, Oregon, Wyoming, Utah State, Notre Dame in Las Vegas, Jesus, Arkansas, God, and I love Arkansas this year. And Arkansas going to Provo is so scary. Jeez, what a game. What a schedule. At Liberty, East Carolina, at Boise State, off Utah Tech, and at Stanford. Jesus. Man, they've got a game. They've got a schedule. So again, this defense, so last year, 389 yards per game, 24 points per game. Like, are you kidding me? They return all 11. They return all 11 this year. All right, so my top team that I absolutely love. Let me get off of BYU for a minute. Again, but I really love BYU. Scary team that nobody's talking about is BYU. But who I really love is Air Force. Air Force, to me, what a sneaky team. So just real quick, and I'm pulling some of these numbers from Phil Steele, but their Air Force strength of schedule is 121, okay? Now, why that's important, because if you have a weak schedule, right, like, obviously Bama's a good team, you know what I mean? Like, Bama, Ohio State, okay. So they're going to be good kind of no matter what. But then you have to look at these teams who have pretty good teams or okay teams, but they face a really weak schedule. So that's going to allow them to get things rolling and get going. So out of 131 teams, Air Force has number 121 strength of schedule. So their strength of schedule is super weak. But they return their top 6 rushers. Their offensive line returns, and this was an offensive line that was in the running for the Joe Moore Award last year, which is for the best offensive line. So they got their top 6 rushers back. Their offensive line returns, so number 1 rushing offense last year, number 5 number 1 rushing offense last year, number 16 in scoring defense last year, and number 5 in yards allowed. That's their defense is. This is a team that you're going to have to watch because they're going to be able to put points up, and they don't play nobody. Okay, like, run through their schedule real quick. Northern Iowa, Colorado, at Wyoming, Nevada, Navy, at Utah State, at UNLV, Boise State at home, Army, New Mexico State, Colorado State, and at San Diego State. Air Force. Watch, I'm telling you, Air Force, BYU, love Fresno State. If Mississippi State wasn't in the SEC West, watch out for them, but they're in the West, so it's going to be tough. And if Hartman wasn't hurt at Wake Forest, for sure. And I did talk about NC State. I know I've got them in the playoffs, but I don't think enough people are really talking about them as much of a team as what they can be. People are talking about Leary and the defense, but I don't think people are giving them the credit, right? Because everybody's immediately picking Clemson. NC State has something really special built and they've got something really special coming back. And let me just tell you something. When talking about strength of schedule, Air Force 121, Fresno State 107. So that also benefits me picking them a little bit. NC State has the 61st strength of schedule. Just for some comparison, I also love Mississippi State. They have the number 2 hardest schedule in the country. I think Auburn has number 1. But Mississippi State has the second hardest schedule in the country. BYU's number 38, just for whatever. I also wrote down Oregon State. But I don't know how much of a jump they can make. I love Air Force. I love BYU. I love Fresno. And I love NC State. So I think that's about it for that. I had a lot of fun doing this. I wanted to do a college football preview. I think we previewed it pretty well. I think this was really fun. We went through all the conferences, all the divisions. I gave you who I think my top 4 will be. I gave you a couple of surprise teams to watch out for. We'll kind of keep up with it as the year goes, and I'll eat crow if like Air Force ends up going like 2-10 or something like that, or if BYU goes 1-11 and they're the worst team in college football history. It'll be fun, but what if they both go 11-1 and people are arguing for them both to make the playoff? How cool would that be? It won't happen, but how cool would it be? I'm over here making noise, balling up paper. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun. Again, college football is something that is a passion of mine, something I'm really interested in, so I thought it would be fun to do a back bedroom episode on it because I just kind of wanted to talk about it. And then I thought, hey, maybe we can grab some new friends and new fans to the community, right? Maybe maybe some college football fans will hear this and like my style, and maybe they'll hang around and we'll have some new members in our community. So it'll be fun. So if you are new and this does grab you because you're a college football fan, welcome and hello. Hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, other than that, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. So you guys know what the deal is, right? So thank you all so much for listening. There are tons of other podcasts out there you could be listening to, and you chose to listen to mine. And for that, I am forever thankful. So if you want to interact with me or the show, here's how you can do so. Twitter, @TheBackBedroom. I have the Twitter for the show. You can tweet at it. I don't really do much with it. If you actually want to have interactions on Twitter, tweet me at my personal Twitter, which is Space Ghost with 3 E's, so it's Space E Ghost. So if you have any issues with my top 25 or my top games or Heisman or top, Final Four or whatever, if you just want to talk college football, hit me up on those 2 places on Twitter. And if you want to email the show, you can do so at backbedroompod@gmail.com. Okay, so it's just the name of the show at gmail.com. So backbedroompod@gmail.com. And then you can also find the show on YouTube. Just look up The Back Bedroom. The episode, go up on YouTube for people there. And of course, you can always find the show wherever you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, etc. If you listen on Apple, please give us a rate and review. It means so much. It helps the show out so much. Same on Spotify. I think you can just rate there. You can't review. Good Pods, wherever. Give us a 5-star and leave us a review if you can. Thank you so much. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and rate for the algorithm. You guys know what it is. The algorithm rules the world. And as always, I will see y'all next time. Get ready for that top 10 because it's coming. And if you hear it and you want to submit a top 10, please get it to me. I'll talk about it. I'll read it on the show. So till next time, I'll see y'all right here in the back bedroom.